This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson.
Welcome to News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Today is Tuesday, September 14th. A recreational vehicle being used as a primary dwelling is destroyed by fire this morning at a residence on Acorn Circle here in Pahrump. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue Chief Scott Lewis says a mechanical failure is the likely cause.
So crews were dispatched for a report of a motorhome fire. As we were arriving on location, we had a dark smoke column produced and heavy fire presenting from the roof. We had determined that the structure was unoccupied. We did have a couple of scene hazards as we had discharging ammunition and several explosions that occurred within the structure. Crews commenced what we would call a defensive exterior attack, stretching two hand lines, quickly controlled the fire with no extension to the nearby exposures. We did assess one person for a burn to the right hand, and that person opted not to be medically transported to a facility. The investigation revealed that we most likely had a mechanical failure within the structure, and at this point we're in the process of picking up. This was a mobile structure used as a fixed residence, so it was a primary dwelling. They do not require Red Cross assistance in this case, as there's a like, kind, and quality vehicle that will now become the home on the property.
And a two-vehicle crash at a Pahrump intersection this afternoon sends one driver to the hospital. One female was transported by ground ambulance to Desert View Hospital this afternoon as a result of a two-vehicle rear-end collision on Pahrump Valley Boulevard and Bourbon Street. Both vehicles sustained major damage as a result of this crash. No one inside the pickup truck claimed any injuries at the time of the accident. One dog was taken into the care and custody of Nye County Animal Control and transported to our local shelter until the owner could retrieve the animal. Nye County Sheriff's Office auxiliary units diverted traffic around the scene of the crash while the investigation was conducted by the Nye County Sheriff's Office. A minivan and scooter collide near the Calvada Eye this morning, sending the scooter rider to Desert View Hospital. Traffic was diverted around the scene of a two-vehicle crash involving a minivan and a scooter this morning on Calvada Boulevard and Dandelion Street. Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies are investigating the cause of this crash. The rider of the scooter was transported by ground ambulance to Desert View Hospital with injuries sustained as a result of this crash. The scooter rider was carrying groceries at the time of the accident, which ended up on the roadway following the crash. No one inside the minivan claimed any injuries at the time of the accident. Traffic was diverted around the scene while the investigation and cleanup was underway. And Governor Steve Sisolak has signed an emergency regulation that will require state of Nevada employees to be fully vaccinated by November 1st. This includes employees that work in state-operated detention centers and licensed nursing facilities. The Nevada Board of Health voted on Friday to require vaccinations for all Department of Correction employees and workers at state institutions with vulnerable populations. President Joe Biden announced on Thursday that they will have a requirement soon for facilities that receive federal Medicare and Medicaid. The requirement covers workers at 12 state institutions that house vulnerable populations, including adults and youth psychiatric facilities and juvenile detention facilities. As of Friday, 53.05% of Nevadans 12 and older have been vaccinated. According to state data, 1,104 prison employees have tested positive for COVID-19 and 3 have died. The state has paid more than $9.2 million in overtime to cover shifts of infected employees. News 25 will return right after this break.
This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Unette Gentry. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by Gunny's Air Conditioning and Heating. New service and repair. Call Gunny's 775-727-6800.
Welcome back, and Unette Gentry is off tonight. As some of you know, the Board of County Commissioners approved funding for construction of a new animal shelter here in Nye County. We had a chance to talk with Commissioner Frank Carboni, and he provided us with an update on the construction of the animal shelter. Here's what he had to say.
This area here, there's going to be several, there'll be the intake area, This is where the sally port is. This is where the animal control officers will pull in their vehicles and let the animals out. They'll be all enclosed. Over here is where there'll be two rooms there. One is the room for the refrigerators and freezers for the animals, as well as storage. The area for the animal control officers. Then you're going to have the intake areas and the areas with the stage animals as they come in, as well as the confined area for animals that may have some kind of sicknesses. On the other side, over here, you'll see all this area here will be where the cats will go in when they first come in. And then down further is where the office area is out, where you see all that steel up in the air, all the rebar. That's where all the dog runs will be for the large animals. And that's an expansion area. In the middle, there's another set of runs that go up there, two sets of runs, plus they'll go out further into the rest of the property for more runs to be installed as time goes on.
Can you tell us who the contractors are?
Yeah, B&H is the actual contractor who's responsible for the whole site, and they're bringing in other folks that come in here. So that's their job to maintain who those contractors are. I mean, right now you can see that there's the plumbing is up. They're in for one more test. We got a pressure test getting ready to run here. Once this is finished, they can start backfilling all the rest of the stuff that's here. Then you'll start seeing filling all the rest of the outside areas with concrete. So getting the rest of the borders done. And then after that, they'll start laying out what's going in here, which would be the actual slab. So it's coming along pretty well. They're not behind very much. The rain and the wind kind of caught us in the behind. A lot of these ditches were full with water. They had to pump a lot of it out, so that caused them some delays, and plus they had to dry out some of the areas.
Let's talk a little bit about livestock, because we typically have that here at our shelter.
The livestock, this property goes back past all the mounds of dirt that are over here. This is a pretty large piece of property, and we'll be putting in the corrals and the special cages and stuff for like the pigs and the birds and so on and so forth, so they have something we can put them in. Versus what we have over at the current shelter today, it's kind of helter-skelter. We kind of do whatever we can.
There is room for expansion here if we need it, right?
Yes, there's room for expansion specifically for the large animals, and also for the animals that are in intake and so on and so forth. The way the building is established and the way it's built, you can just expand it out. So it is expandable.
So when are we talking about the completion on this?
Well, hopefully the plan, I say hopefully, barring any other conditions we have weather-wise coming, but it appears if they meet the schedule, it should be somewhere between February and March. We should be ready to start moving things in.
Well, Saturday evening, the Kiwanis Club of Pahrump Valley held a 9/11 memorial service at Petrick Park, and there was plenty of stories to be told, including a woman who lived in New York City and served the first responders at the time of the attacks.
The Kiwanis Club's memorial service featured former Colonel Patrick Neri, who emceed the event from a makeshift stage in the park. Kiwanian Reva Braun, whose husband was a first responder in New York City, organized the event. A number of people spoke to the crowd, recounting their own personal stories, including a Pahrump woman who lived in New York City at the time.
Tower 2 started falling. We all stopped and watched the collapse in disbelief. I heard the sounds, the terrible sounds, and the roaring that I can't really put into words. The buildings, the debris was rolling through the streets, looking like an avalanche. Hundreds or maybe thousands of people were running away over the Brooklyn Bridge to escape the chaos. But some were too late.
The memorial ceremony also featured a number of singers, and our own Sheriff Sharon Worley spoke of her memory that very morning 2 decades ago.
So my job at that particular time was emergency management for Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories at the Nevada test site. So I went into work and I said, "Do you know what's going on?" And they looked at me and said, "No, why?" I said, "We need to go to the EOC. We need to put it up. We need to find out what's going on." So they all rushed in. They alerted the fire department, which was right next door to us. And we all put our TVs on. And immediately after that, we shut down the entire test site. We shut down all of the federal buildings in Las Vegas. We shut down so many things so fast, was almost in a blink of an eye.
Two of the Miss Senior Golden Years queens, Lorraine Babbitt and Terry Rogers, told some published stories of those who were at the Twin Towers that day.
One hero was a man named Rick Rescorla, a retired U.S. Army officer who got a job as Director of Security for Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, that was previously known as Dean Witter. He'd anticipated attacks due to the vulnerable nature of the building, and he pleaded with his firm to find a new office space. Because that wasn't an option due to the lease agreements, Rescorla enforced regular drills so that employees knew how to evacuate in case an emergency. On 9/11, Rescorla was supposed to be home, but was covering for a coworker. He is responsible for saving 2,700 people, singing inspirational songs into a megaphone while escorting people in and out of the building. Sadly, Rescorla did not make it out that day. However, his memory lives on through the Rick Rescorla Memorial and a book written by his wife. So I actually was so intrigued by his story, and you can't read his story without tears just flowing.
But there's another story of another hero. His name was Wells Remy Cruther. Another hero on 9/11, known by the people he saved as the young man with the red bandana, which he used to cover his nose and mouth to protect against smoke and debris. Crowther had been a volunteer firefighter as a teenager, and during 9/11 was working as an equities trader on the 104th floor of the South Tower. When the chaos ensued, Cruther took charge to move groups out of the building, going back in numerous times. He saved over 15 lives, though lost his own. His memory lives on through the Wells Remy Cruther Trust, and his red bandana can be seen at the 9/11 Museum.
During the September 11th attacks in 2001, 2,977 people were killed, 19 hijackers committed murder-suicide, and more than 6,000 others were injured. The immediate deaths included 265 on the 4 planes, including the terrorists, 2,606 in the World Trade Center towers and in the surrounding area, and 125 at the Pentagon. The attacks remain the deadliest terrorist act in U.S. history.
More news right after this break.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on.
Well, the National Center for Exploitation has filed a lawsuit against the governor, state attorney general, Clark County, Nye County, the Chicken Ranch, Jamal Rashid, and many more. Rashid was named after he was convicted and is serving 33 months in federal prison for operating a prostitution business disguised as a Las Vegas escort service. The plaintiffs, Angela Williams and Jane Doe, seek to abolish Nevada's legal prostitution statutes as unconstitutional and a violation of federal anti-trafficking laws. It asked the court to order reimbursement to victims of all profits and unjust enrichment obtained as a result. Williams and the unnamed plaintiff, Jane Doe, claim that they were defrauded and coerced for years in Nevada's legal sex industry. The lawsuit talks about slavery and women and girls being forced to work in the sex industry for hundreds of years. Williams says that she was sex trafficked in the state of Nevada from 2006 to 2017. Well, Saturday, 6 senior ladies will take to the stage at the Saddle West as they vie for the title of Miss Senior Golden Years. Today, we continue with our introduction of the contestants. Meet Marla Quercha.
Hello, my name is Marla Quercha, and I am contestant number 2 in the Miss Senior Golden Years pageant. It's coming up on September 18th, and it's going to be at the Saddle West. I really hope to see you there. It's going to be a lot of fun, and come up and say hello. Anyway, I want to tell you about my platform. My platform is all about the children. I've had 59 children in my home, including foster kids, couch surfers, foreign exchange students, and anyone that just needed a place to stay. My platform and my life is all about the children, and I hope to continue to do that in our beautiful community of Pahrump. Thank you very much, And again, I hope to see you September 18th, Saddle West.
Thanks so much, Marla. Well, now we are going to go to Doug with your latest in sports.
Hello, sports fans. The Lady Trojan golf team teed it up today at Mountain Falls Golf Club. I caught up with Coach Bob Hopkins before this league match, and he is optimistic about this season.
3 years ago, we were state runner-up. 2 years ago, we were state runner-up, and we had everybody back, and then COVID hit. We do have 4 of our players that were on the runner-up team from 2 years ago, so we're looking for big things. We got some good young kids to throw in there with them, and we hope to get to the winner's circle this year.
On the team is senior and part of the 2 state runner-up teams, Tony Cross-Smith, who looks to be part of something great.
I think our team sizes up pretty well. I mean, we have a lot of great athletes, and we're going to do really good this year, hopefully. We were runners-up a couple years ago, and this year we have a pretty good chance of doing good in the state tournament, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I love hanging out with my teammates.
Friday night, the Pahrump Valley Trojan football team lost its home and season opener to Virgin Valley by a score of 42-18. The Trojans are now 0-2 on the year. The other loss coming in a forfeit earlier in the season. The Trojans traveled to Moapa Valley Friday night. The PVHS boys soccer team is off to a good start, beating host Cheyenne High School 4-2 yesterday. Christian Mott scored 2 goals and had an assist to lead the Trojans, who are now 2-0. Last Thursday, the boys defeated Somerset Academy of Losey 10-1, with Mott scoring 5 goals and an assist to lead the Trojans. Saturday's Pahrump Valley Speedway results include Jerry Walton taking the sport modified event, Anthony Montanez took the mini dwarf, Eric Newharter took the mini stock, Dale Daffer the super stock, Jared Ward the hobby stock, and Mark Daub the coupes. If you haven't heard it by now, last night's national anthem singer Gladys Knight proved to be a good luck charm for the underdog Las Vegas Raiders against the Baltimore Ravens in Monday Night Football at packed Allegiant Stadium. The Raiders trailed at one point 14-0, but came back and tied it at the end of regulation, 27-27. Late in the first overtime period, Derek Carr hit Zay Jones with a 31-yard pass to win it 33-27. Last night, the Las Vegas Aces defeated the Dallas Wings at the Ultralight Arena by a score of 85-75. Kelsey Plum dropped in 30 points, and Asia Wilson added 21 for the Aces in the win. The Aces are now 22-8 and trail Connecticut by 2 games in the standings. Their regular season comes to a conclusion this Sunday, and postseason begins on the 23rd. Also last night, the Las Vegas Aviators seemingly were 2 outs away from its 48th straight win this season when leading after 8 innings over Reno 3-2 in the top of the 9th. Closer Ben Bracewell served up back-to-back homers, opening the floodgates to a 4-run inning as the Aviators fell 6-3. The Aviators host the Aces again tonight, hoping to even the series before heading to Sacramento for another 6-game road trip. First pitch at Las Vegas Ballpark is set for 7:05 p.m. If you have any athletes, inspirational stories, or ideas, drop me an email at dougf@kpvm25.tv. Now back to the news desk.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
All right, outside is just beautiful out there looking at Mount Charleston. We're going to have John here with your weather right after this break.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. It's lovely to see you on a cumin-filled Taco Tuesday. Look at these beautiful weather temperatures we have for you all up and down the state. Actually, the northern part of the state looks pretty good from Fernley all the way down to Goldfield. Nothing but upper 80s. Pretty good. 96 out there in Beatty. Amargosa and Las Vegas, yeah, about a deadlock at 102, 103. Death Valley, 110 degrees. That's got somebody's putting on a sweater out in Death Valley going, oh, it's only 110? Well, here in the dusky desert jewel of the Kingdom of Nye, here we are, 97 degrees in Pahrump, 99 earlier. Winds out of the southwest to 9 miles per hour, just So I think a birthday cake would be safe outside today. Sun rose this morning at 6:26 a.m. It's going to set this evening about 6:52. 6:52. There it is. 6:52. We love it. 66 will be our low tonight as the winds continue to gently buffet us out of the east-southeast to 6 miles per hour. Bone dry humidity. What do we got? Any clouds coming up? No. Blue skies shining on us throughout the week, the whole week, and nothing but the week. Winds about 12, 14 miles per hour, gusting gently. But look at the weather trending down from 98 degrees on Wednesday all the way down to the 88 and 90 next Monday, Tuesday. It's getting pretty pleasant around here. Lows at night in the low 60s. Pretty good. Love the weather. All right, back to the desk.
All right, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.